සභාව කාල තැබීම ගරු සභානායකතුමා.
මෙම ගරු සභාව හෙට පස්වරු එකවනතෙක් කාල තැබිය යුතුයි අප යෝජනා කර සිටිනවා.
සභාව කාල තැබීම අවස්ථාවේ යෝජනාව ගරු සුමන්තිරන් මන්ත්‍රීතුමා.
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Order please. Honorable Deputy Chairman of Committees will preside. No.
Honorable Deputy Chairman of Committees, I move for the adjournment of the House to discuss a matter that is urgent, a matter of which notice was given with regard to a serious security situation that has arisen, particularly in the Jaffna Peninsula and generally in the northern province of Sri Lanka. This matter was to be raised by our party leader on the 4th of January as Parliament convened for the first time for the year, and a notice of that motion was submitted the previous day as required by the standing orders. However, it was not taken on the 4th of January, it was taken up on the 5th instead, on account of the fact, or at least we were told, that translation of that motion was being delayed. However, curiously, on the 4th of January, Honorable Minister for Traditional Industries raised this matter after we had given notice of the motion for our party leader to raise it. Quite unusually and breaking with tradition, a cabinet minister sought to raise a question of public importance as he claimed it to be. And again, breaking with tradition, no answer has been given up to date, neither to the question that was raised by the Honorable Minister, nor by the issue that was raised by the Honorable Member from Jaffna as leader of the Tamil National Alliance, Ilangai Tamilarsu Katchi. The issue is one of grave significance. When my party leader raised this matter, he listed out several incidents of violence that had taken place in Jaffna in the months of November and December 2010. These incidents of violence have largely gone without being investigated. And that is the seriousness of the matter. The first issue is the number of such incidents that take place in one particular area, and that too in an area where there is a
contents of the adjournment motion that has been the practice and the procedure all along in this House. Could you kindly read the motion? After that we can debate.
Honorable Deputy Chairman of Committees, I'm coming to that. I'll read the motion. But before that, I'm seeking your permission to lay out the background circumstances under which this motion is being moved, and the honourable member will do well to be patient and listening. In this background, we find that when there is no, one thing is that there are a series of incidents that take place in the area that has the tightest security control in the whole country. And no one, I repeat, no one has been apprehended at the time of the offence in any of these incidents. Stranger still, no one has been apprehended even thereafter, except in 1 or 2 instances. And what is curious there is that persons who have been apprehended by the security forces are said to be members of the EPDP. The security forces commander, Major General Hathuru Singha, is on record saying, what's the point of order?
First, sir, because he is a well-known lawyer in the courthouse, no doubt, but he must learn certain procedures in this house. He must read the contents of the motion that has been done every time after this member came to this house also. So let him read. So, he discussed in the motion. You sit down, I am asking from
Honourable
him.
Deputy Chairman of Committees,
I
there is
am
no point of
asking
order
from
there.
the member.
I have not refused to read the motion, I will read it.
To answer for me. He
I will
doesn't
read
want
it.
a brief from you in this house. No, he doesn't. Sir, he must read the motion, sir, for us to debate. This has never happened. Let the member learn at least now.
Honourable Deputy Chairman of Committee, there is no point of
Read
order.
something
I
and
said
read
I will read it.
Write something and
I am
read
giving
it.
the background to my motion.
Motion must be moved to give the background. How can you have a cart without the horse or a horse without the cart? You will not end up in the journey.
Very well, sir. I'll
You
bow
sit
to
down.
your ruling.
මේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට පන්දන් අල්ලන්න එපා. ඒගොල්ලන් කරගනි ඒක. තමුන්නාන්සේ පාඩි වෙනවා.
I'll bow to your
හොඳයි, ඒක
ruling. I'll
හොඳයි.
read the motion.
දෝමයියට වැඩක් නැහැ.
This is
දෝමයියට
what the
වැඩක්
motion
නැහැ.
says. There is a complete breakdown in the law and order situation in the northern province and more particularly in the Jaffna Peninsula, resulting in murders, kidnapping, extortion and other crimes. This has gripped the residents of Jaffna in a fierce psychosis since the perpetrators have managed to get away in every one of these instances. The situation has been further compounded that even a government minister from the area has thought the situation so serious that he himself raised this matter in the House on 4th January 2011, but no reply has been given by the government to date. In view of the deteriorating law and order situation in the Jaffna Peninsula, this House resolves that it is imperative on the Honourable Prime Minister on behalf of the government to explain to this House what steps the government intends to take to stop this grave situation from further aggravating. Now, I was on the issue that persons who have been apprehended, according to the Security Forces Commander, are members of the EPDP. One then understands the indecent hurry of the Honourable Minister to have jumped the gun, so to say, and raised the matter himself in this House before it was duly and properly raised by the party leader of TNA. But that doesn't cloud the issue, because the incidents are there for all to see, and I'm moving to place a list of 24 incidents for the record now. There is a similarity, there is a pattern in some of these matters. Bodies are found in wells in a number of incidents. But in none of those incidents is a death due to suffocation in the well. Death has been caused previously, and in almost all the incidents, the bodies were found with torture marks. A high number of incidents have been reported from the Manipa area and also from Vadamarachi East, particularly from Kudattana area, where there are at least 4 incidents that have been reported. One of the later incidents reported from that area is that of an employee of the Postal Department who was at the forefront of the opposition to an illegal sand mining activity that is being carried out by the EPDP in that area. He has been seen at demonstrations. His pictures have appeared on the web. EPDP is said to have a foundation called Maheswari Foundation. In fact, there is no such foundation. All of us in this house know, because there is an incorporation that is still being awaited. And for sand that costs only 286 rupees, this illegal body run by the EPDP charges 13,600. Highway robbery. And people of that area have been protesting about this. In fact, Maheswari Foundation that is awaiting incorporation in this house also cannot be incorporated at this point in time because the matter of the incorporation of that body is sub judice at this moment. There is a court case pending, CA 647 of 2010, in which the issue of incorporation of that foundation itself is a subject matter. And in due time, that will be communicated to this house for this house not to proceed further on that matter. In any event, it is a person who led the protests against this robbery by EPDP on the residents of Jaffna. Armed gunmen invaded his house, shot him dead, and got away. I said there are many curious matters that arise in these transactions, and another curious issue is several EPDP members attended the funeral, put up posters to mourn his death, and tried to suggest that this was one of their own members who had died, when the world knows that he is one who opposed the EPDP. So one understands the reluctance of the government to reply to this serious issue that has been raised. One understands the anxiety of the Honorable Minister to want to raise it first himself. The government doesn't have to look too far. The President has spoken few days ago in Jaffna and stated that he is resolved to do away with all the underworld mafia, all the underworld groups. Now, there are no underworld groups in Jaffna. Anybody who knows Jaffna knows that there are no underworld groups in Jaffna. The President, His Excellency, does not have to look too far to know who these persons who are illegally carrying arms, who are threatening the people, who are driving the people into a fear psychosis, who are extorting money, who are demanding ransom, and who are carrying out these murders. that's a group that is very close to the government. And that is why it has become necessary for the opposition today to move at this adjournment to discuss this matter and move this resolution for the Prime Minister to reply to every one of those incidences, the incidents that I have placed. In fact, when the list of incidents were given notice of, the Honourable Leader of the House stated that in 24 hours he cannot give a reply to that because there are several incidents. But 24 hours later he came and said, since there is a full day adjournment debate that has been agreed upon, I will answer every one of those incidents at that adjournment debate. And we are awaiting his reply to those incidents that were placed, and I have placed many more that have happened during between the 5th of January and today. The government must take responsibility for the state of affairs, particularly when it's published in the media quoting the Security Forces commander himself as to the identity of the persons who are involved in at least one or two of these incidents. The most highlighted one is the murder of Mr. Markandu Sivalingam, the Deputy Zonal Director of Education of Valigamam. Now his murder has been carried out. I have personally spoken to very close relatives of his. His murder has been carried out by a well-trained person. A person who had managed to get into that house through the chimney, through which even a person of my dimensions cannot go through. There are footwear marks inside the chimney. He is so well trained that he had used a micro pistol, and even when Mr. Sivalingam had held him down with the hands down, being unable to raise his hand to fire, from below his hips, he had fired one shot through his heart. Such a marksman, such a trained athlete, at least, was the person who carried out the murder of Mr. Sivalingam. He did not panic thereafter. He spoke to his daughter, asked for the daughter's earrings, showed his gun, and walked out of that house without anybody apprehending him. Now, various theories have been put forward as to the motive for this killing. But one thing that we can say is that the motive for the killing is not robbery. Motive for that killing is no personal feud. There was no personal feud, as some people had tried to suggest, saying that his wife was living in another house. That's 2 houses away. His mother is elderly and sick and lives alone, so therefore the daughter-in-law goes and sleeps in the nights in that house. That has been sought to be made out as though he was estranged from his wife. That's far from the truth. One cannot find any plausible explanation that is being trotted out. There is one other suggestion that has been made, that he was opposed to the event that the Honourable Prime Minister attended in Jaffna, at which the Tamil children were forced to learn the national anthem to be sung in the Sinhala language in a short time. They were used to singing it in the Tamil language. Now, we don't know the truth or otherwise of that allegation, and I don't want to be as irresponsible as to suggest that that is the reason for the killing. But there is no other reasonable explanation that can be given either. Now, why would the government want this kind of negative publicity on itself? One cannot understand why the government is doing this or allowing this to happen. Either the security forces that are said to be in total control of the peninsula are running amok and the government has no control over them, or whatever the security forces or the persons allied to them do, the government has no will to put a stop to. Also, the government is turning a blind eye then to the activities of EPDP, which even the Security Forces Commander of Jaffna concedes is involved in some of these incidents. I think it is time that the government moves away from tolerating this kind of persons to be part of their ranks. The Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission that the government appointed in an interim report has suggested that all those persons who are bearing arms illegally must immediately be disarmed. So your own commission concedes, your own commission says that there are such persons. And in Jaffna, it's common knowledge that it is EPDP that is that group that is bearing arms illegally. And that is part of that is a constituent of this government. I'm making a fervent appeal to the Honorable Prime Minister who is present here, and through him to His Excellency the President. At least at this point in time, when you say that you want to reconcile with the Tamil people, at least at this point in time when His Excellency takes an effort to speak in Tamil, to show his good intentions, at least now move away from these criminal elements that are part of your government. It's time that you told them enough is enough. This government will not tolerate your criminality anymore, and move them out of the government's fold.
And get back all the weapons.
If you are serious about the Tamil people respecting this government, if you are serious about Tamil people taking what you say seriously, then it is imperative that you do this. But for the moment, the issue that has arisen now at this adjournment debate are identifiable instances of criminal activity that have all gone unresolved. None of these have been resolved. Out of 24 that I have placed now in Parliament, in this House, hardly 2 or 3 incidents have been even investigated and 1 or 2 persons apprehended. This is a very strange issue. In other parts of the country, where there is less than 10% of the security measures that are prevalent in the peninsula of Jaffna, within a couple of days, persons are apprehended, investigations are carried out. So if you allow this state of affairs to continue, then you will be confirming the doubt that all of us have, that it is some part of the government that is responsible for all of these matters. Some of these incidents have spilled over into the other parts of the northern province as well. Some of my colleagues who will speak after this will detail those as well. But for the moment, let me wind up my speech moving that this House adopts the resolution that I have proposed. Thank you.
Honorable.
What we are discussing here is a very serious situation. Not merely matter of law and order, but also a question of how we are going to resolve the issues facing the Tamil-speaking people, especially in Jaffna. After the defeat of the LTT, the government promised normalcy, resettlement of the people in the north, and a political solution. I will not speak on the political solution because this is not the issue that's being debated in this house today. All I want to say about the resettlement in Vanni is it has not been done yet. Of the 160,000 people whom the government claims they have resettled, many of them are living with relatives or in temporary accommodations or living in tents. In Kilinochchi, there's an average of about 4 suicides a day because of the problems they face. Now that is an example of what is happening in Vanni. But I'll have to deal with the whole issue of law and order in Jaffna. The first sign of normalcy is the restoration of law and order. Before the end of the war, there was reasonable improvement in the law and order situation in Jaffna. The problem that arose was the attacks by the LTT, the nature of those terrorist attacks. You could say that normalcy was being restored. And there was an improvement after the defeat of the LTT. The only worry was whether some of the LTT top ranks were using Jaffna to hide. But today, there has been a deterioration. In fact, a total collapse, which is alarming. My good friend has tabled the schedule of killings, which he has labeled, open inverted commas, incidents, close inverted commas. These incidents are deaths. And if you examine some of them, I'll give one example. Take the period between 27th December and 3rd January. That is 8 days. There are over 10 killings. For instance, in Misale, Mahendra Selvam, also known as Thiruselvam, Thiruvaran Selvam, was killed. Then on the 30th, you have in Achueli, Irasaya Shivakumar. In Vedamarachi on the 31st, in the Alvail area, you have Pushpa Devi Yoganathan, a widow with 6 children. Again on the 31st, you find the dead body of S. Sivaneswaraja in Karenaga area. You find a 3-wheel driver, S. Gopinathan, from Uruparai on the 1st of January. Then from Yogapuram, you found Mahalingam Amudaraja, killed on 3rd of January. Then you referred to the Honorable, my friend, referred to the Deputy Director of Education, Makandu Sivagiri. This is not counting those dead bodies that were found in the cemetery in Achueli, 1 dead body, and in the wells in Karenaga. So if you are looking at a time frame of 8 days and nearly 10 to 11 killings, where some of the bodies are unidentified, it is an alarming reaction. Just imagine what would have happened if this took place in Colombo or in Kandy. There would have been immediate uproar, would have come here in the house. The government would have been besieged with questions by the media much earlier, and they would have been forced to take action. But unfortunately, no action has been taken in Jaffna. That is why this debate has to take place. After much delay, after a request I made, when Honorable Douglas Devananda, the minister, spoke, we asked for a debate. Why is it that the government is not taking action on this? This is what we want to know. Are you ignoring Jaffna because these are Tamils? The Tamil media was threatened. They were asked, why are they reporting this? These are normal killings that take place. Even in Colombo, you don't get 10 people being killed in 8 days. Even if you count the road accidents, you don't get that. These are not normal. These are abnormal. Not only the Tamil media, the Sinhala media personnel are frightened to report, thinking that they'll be taken away. And what worries us is that the situation is worse than in January 2009. In January, you could easily say that there was a much better situation in Jaffna as far as law and order was concerned, as far as security was concerned. You cannot say that today. And the question is why they have not been apprehended. There are over 60,000 security force personnel in the Jaffna Peninsula. That's a large number. We haven't got that even in the city of Colombo. Then you still have the high security zones. That has taken a good part of Jaffna, a good part of Wallikama, part of Jaffna town, 30% of the area. The roadblocks are there. Without debating the question about these high security zones, whether they should be removed, when they should be done, there's one thing which many people have pointed out. It means the movement of people are restricted. You can't go to 30% of the areas, you can't hide there. And the roadblocks also restrict movement. There are limited space for people to hide in Jaffna. You cannot move around freely. The checkpoints and the roadblocks are there. There are soldiers sometimes walking down the road. So with all these security measures, why is it that you have not been able to apprehend them? And then what does the police say? I'm just taking a report which came in the Sunday Times. They have told ladies don't wear jewelry or venture out alone. What on earth is the police for? Don't wear jewelry, don't venture out alone. All I want to say, if you take that advice, take the list of all these people who have been killed. I don't think Shivakumar was wearing jewelry. I don't think Mahendra Selvam was wearing jewelry. Certainly Pushpa Devi Yoganathan, who was killed, was not wearing jewelry. And she didn't go out in the night. So this is the only response we have got. And the people from Jaffna are asking, what on earth is happening? Is this another form of revenge by the government? That's why the government has replied to it. And the inability of the government to control this situation has led to the allegations internationally and locally that the government is behind it. Not only that, part of the blame has come on to the security forces. The security force commander in Jaffna has said we have apprehended some people for some incidents and they belong to the EPDP. Now, my good friend, the TNA has made their allegations against the charges against the EPDP. But that's also being said. The finger is being pointed in many directions. I read one report which is the rogue elements of the security force. Some people say these are retired security, combination retired security force personnel and ex-combatants from Jaffna. Another is that ex-Tamil combatants who are involved in crime now. Then the political groups. I am not in a position to say who's doing it. But I am in a position to say the government is not doing anything about it. We think there should be a full and impartial and effective mechanism to investigate these killings. And all of these points down to a down on law and order. Now, if you want the people of Jaffna to have trust in the government, in trust in the state, then we should be able to ensure there's law and order. And when the government has been unable to do so, the task is for Parliament to find out what has happened and how we can restore confidence and credibility in Jaffna. So when we first met in the first week of January, neither side of Parliament was opposed to my idea that the Speaker leads an all-party delegation to Jaffna. Now the LTT has been defeated. There are normalcy in the country. And we go there to find out what is happening. Because they will not listen to, they have no confidence in what the Jaffna has done, in what the government has done. For us, many of that is the best option. Let's go there. Let's find out. But now the government is opposed to it. I don't know why. They are opposing the all-party delegation, which really will help them at this stage. We are being told, go on your own. Look, we can all go on our own. We can come back, we'll have our reports. Then the government will attack some other parties saying we can't accept these reports. Is that a good thing? But we all know that when we go as one body, we act in a collective manner. We meet the government officials, we ask questions, with different people, members will ask different questions, the speaker will ask his own questions. Then we all have to act in a responsible manner. As far as possible, we'll try and give you, I think the delegation should try and give a unanimous report. But if they can't, and even if they are dissenting views, what does that matter? That is not a black mark for the government. That is not a setback for the government. If an all-party delegation goes there and they report, and even if they are dissenting views, you can say everything is open, everything is transparent, and this is one way of rebutting some of the charges against the government. Here is that opportunity. An all-party delegation visiting Jaffna is the best for Sri Lanka. I am not concerned about what people say about the government. That is their business. But we are all getting worried about the bad name that has come to all of us in Sri Lanka. And this is a matter of concern. That is why we don't want these incidents in Jaffna also be added on against Sri Lanka, that we refuse to go into what was happening. Your approach of ignoring these issues, your approach of taking on friendly governments, international organizations, anyone is critical of you, have not paid dividends. We can see that around. Sri Lanka is isolated and we are being besieged internationally. Why should that happen? Why are we allowing this? It's difficult now for ministers to go abroad. When some of you went abroad, when you were in India, there had been some minister hooting and slippers thrown. I know what it is like. I was in South India once, and they surrounded my car and started shouting, Rajapaksa, go home, Rajapaksa, go home. I didn't know what to do. So I just waited. I got out and finally told them, I got the police to put into Tamil. I said, I am also shouting, Rajapaksa, go home. Kindly let me go home so I can rush. Go home and shout, Rajapaksa, go home. No, you all can't do that even. So at least I went there. But I know the situation. Where sometimes even I am escorted out of the airport with security, just as much as you ministers are. When I went in 2009, I had the same security that Professor Peiris, the External Affairs Minister, had when he was in October. I saw what was happening. I was worried. If they come and surround the hotel, not only Professor Peiris, I'll also get surrounded. And what had I got to do? You know, we don't like that happening. Go there and make allegations, we'll make allegations. But to go and have all the demonstrations is not good for the country. Sometimes we are huddled into some room. You're from Sri Lanka, we are kept in a room in the airport. We can't even go out. You go in there and look at the restaurants, have something to eat. And then we are put on to the next plane, and we have to transit to the destination. I don't think that has happened. Because we must remember that the people in Jaffna want normalcy. If you look at Hartley College, it has not yet been restored fully. But
Honorable, you are taking 2 minutes more. You want to continue to take your time?
Yes, a little bit more, I'll tell you. We have eight students from Hartley College who got 4 A-levels. Four A's at the A-level. Look at the people who went to Jaffna. They went listen to the president. They all want They may not vote for you, but they want normalcy, they want to work with you just as much as people in the south do. But have you all reciprocated? You haven't. And that's the problem. I'm telling you, don't miss this opportunity. Crack down on what is happening and let us all take this all-party delegation to Jaffna. I know what Jaffna is like. I was there in 75, 1970, Jayawardena leaves the opposition. They were cutting their veins and putting blood. I saw how they greeted Mr. Bandanayake when a civics right was taken away, how they voted for Mr. Kobbeka to presidential candidate. It's a form of protest. Now, if you can end that protest by coming to some form of arrangement, agreement, settlement, it's all and good. Start by showing this, start by resettling the people in Jaffna and clearing up the high security zones. I mean, basically, human rights is not something to shout at. They're not something foreign. They're not something that came from the West. If you look at the great emperor's inscription, the famous Asokan pillars, sanctity of life, equality of persons, respect of other views. I mean, those are the basis of human rights. And from where did the Emperor Asoka get this? From the teachings of Gautama, the Blessed One. And we are shouting here against human rights. Why? Just as much as Emperor Asoka reconciled, had reconciliation after the war in Kalinga, all we are doing to start that process. Otherwise, we certainly won't be able to win the confidence of the people of Jaffna. The approach you are following has failed. So I would like the government to discuss. I'm sorry that the government members are not here. They should come and take part and make sensible speeches. I mean, this is an important debate. Not a single person is there. Two ministers in the front. I know what the honourable minister's views are. I don't think we differ very much on that issue, and the Prime Minister. But where are the others to come and debate? Yeah. After all, this is a tradition. Let us take this up and bring this to an end. But to do that, first, let's take action here, send all-part delegation. Then it's up for the government. The time for reconciliation is available, but it is small. Make use of it, otherwise you're going to have trouble. Thank you.
Next speaker is Honorable Prime Minister D.M. Jarrett.
කාරක සභාපතිතුමනි මම බොහොම සන්තෝෂ වෙනවා TNA මන්ත්‍රීතුමත් විපක්ෂ නායකතුමත් රට ගැන ටිකක් උමනාවෙන් බලනවා වගේ පේනවා. නමුත් අද කතාව හැබැයි නව කතාවක් වගේ. කියන්නේ නව කතාවක් ලියනකොට වෙච්ච සිද්ධිම නෙවෙයි ලියන්නේ. වෙච්ච ඒවා පොඩ්ඩකුත් ගන්නවා. දැන් ඔබතුමයි නෝන මහත්තයා වාඩි වෙලා ඉන්නවා. ඒ වාඩි වෙලා ඉන්න එක විස්තර කරනකොට ඊට වඩා විශාල වශයෙන් ලියනවා මේ වෙනස් විදිහවල වල. ලියන්නේ ඒක සෘංගාර රසයක් වගේ දේවල් එන්න ලියන එක සාමාන්‍ය ගතියක්. නව කතාව කියන්නේ ඒකයි. ඒ හා සමානව කතාවක් කරපු එක අපි පිළිගන්නවා. කොහොම නමුත් විපක්ෂ නායකතුමත් තියන්නේ මන්ත්‍රීතුමත් දෙන්නම මෙගේ කරුණු ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම ගැන සතුටු වෙනවා. මේ පක්ෂ දෙකම එකතු වෙලා එක අදහසක් ඉදිරිපත් කරපු එක කැමති වෙනවා. හැම එකම මෙහෙම කරනවා නම් විරුද්ධ පක්ෂය මං හිතන්නේ හුඟක් හොඳයි. හැම එකකදීම එකතු වෙලා කටයුතු කරනවා නම් අපිට රජයටත් පහසුවක් ඇති වෙනවා. තොරතුරු කාර්යය දරගන්න. දැන් ලෝකයේ ගැන කල්පනා කරලා බලනකොට ලෝකේ බොහෝමයක් රටවල් ගැන කල්පනා කරලා බලනකොට දවසින් දවස පැයෙන් පැය විනාඩිය වෙනුව ඇතිවෙනා වූ විපත්ති ස්වභාවයෙන් ඇතිවෙන විපත්ති වලට අමතරව මිනිහා විසින් කරන දේවල් ගැන බැලුවාම ලංකාවත් එක්ක ඒක රාජ් කරලා බලනකොට යාපනයේ සහ යාපනය ගැන වැඩියෙන් කිව්වේ උතුරු නගර ප්‍රදේශයේ ඇති වෙලා තියෙන සිද්ධීන් උගා අඩුයි. ලංකාව ගැන බලනකොට ලෝකයේ ගැන බලනකොට ලංකාවේ ඉතාම අඩුයි. ලංකාව ගැන බලනකොට උතුරු නගර ප්‍රදේශයේ ඇති වෙලා තියෙන සිද්ධීන් උගා අඩුයි. මන්දර විපක්ෂ නායකතුමා ඉති වැඩි මේ පැත්ත කරන බැලුවෙන්නේ අර කියාපු හින්දා ඒකට සපෝට් එකට කතා කරනවා වෙන්න ඇති. අනිත් පැත්තට අනිත් පැත්තවල් ගැන ඔක්කොම සංසන්දනය කරලා බලනවා නම් එහෙ හුඟක් අඩුයි. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් 2010 11 මාසේ 11 ඉඳන් 2011 ජනවාරි මාසයේ විතර වෙනකොට 10 ඉඳන් 11 වෙනකොට 16යි සිද්ධීන් නැති වෙලා තියෙනවා. අලක සිද්ධීන් 16යි මිනිමරුන් ඇතුළත් තියෙනවා. වෙනත් සිද්ධීන් ඇතුළත් තියෙනවා 16ක් විතර ඇතුළත් තියෙනවා. ලංකාව ගැන බලනකොට ඒ ප්‍රමාණයට වඩා වැඩි. අනිත් රටවල් ගැන බලනකොට 100 ගානකින් වැඩි. මම මේක පහත් කරලා කතා කරනවා නෙවෙයි. මනුස්ස ජීවිතයක් නැතිවීම, ජීවිතයකට හානිය ඇතිවීම, අපහාසයක් ඇතිවීම ඒවා එකක්වත් හොඳයි කියලා අපි කල්පනා කරන්නේ. අපි එහෙම අපි කතා අපි කල්පනා කරන්නේ සියලුම මනුස්ස ජීවිත ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ ජීවිත. ඒවා බොහොම හොඳින් ආරක්ෂා කරන්න ඕන. මේ ලංකාවේ ජීවත් වෙන කෝටි 97 ලක්ෂයක් ජනතාව එක පුද්ගලයා ආරක්ෂා කරන්න ඕන කියන එක අපේ චේතනාවයි බලාපොරොත්තුවයි. රජයේ බලාපොරොත්තුවයි ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ බලාපොරොත්තුවයි උවමනාවයි. ඒ වගේම පළාත් 9ම ආරක්ෂා කිරීම. එක වැලියටවත් තැන්ට නොදී ආරක්ෂා කිරීමත් ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ මේ රජයේ බලාපොරොත්තුවයි. ඒ විදිහට ක්‍රියාත්මක කරගෙන යනකොට යුද්ධයක් අවසන් වෙලා 30 අවුරුදු යුද්ධයක් තිබ්බ කාලයයි අදයි කියලා බලනකොට කල්ලියෙකුගේ නගුටේ මයිලක් වගේ තමයි දැන් ඇති වෙන තත්ත්වය. ප්‍රමාණය. නිකම් ප්‍රමාණය බැලුවොත් විපක්ෂ සංවිධායකතුමනි මහා අලියෙක් අරගෙන බැලුවාම ඒ අලියාගේ නගුට ගලලා නගුටේ මයිල් එක තරමක් තමයි දැන් සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. ඉතින් අපි මේ මයිලත් ගලවලා අයින් කරොත් ප්‍රශ්නේ ඉවර වෙනවා. ඒකයි තමුන්නාන්සලා මේ කතා කරන තත්ත්වෙන් තියෙන්නේ. ඒ මයිලක් තියෙන එක අපි පිළිගන්නවා. මේ මයිලත් ගලවන්න තමයි දැන් අපි සූදානම් වෙන්නේ. ඒ වගේ 3000ක් අවරේට අරගෙන තියෙනවා මේ වගේ සිද්ධීන් කරපු අයවලු. දැන් අහිර කරලා තියෙනවා. මේ විදිහේ කරපු අය හිරබාරට අරගෙන ඒ වගේ ඒගොල්ලෝ ප්‍රතිස්ථාපනය කිරීමේ වැඩපිළිවෙලක් දැන් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරගෙන යනවා. අපි පිළිගන්නවා. ඒ වගේ තත්ත්වයක් සෑහෙන එක්තරා ප්‍රමාණයකට තියෙන බව යාපනයේ තියෙනවා, නැගින පළාතේ තියෙනවා, මුළු ලංකාවේ තියෙනවා පිළිගන්නවා. මේවා නැති කරලා මේවා අවසන් කරලා ජනතාවට බයෙන් සැකෙන් තොරව සපවත්ව ජීවත් වෙන්න ඕන කියන එක අපේ එකම පරමාර්ථයයි. වැඩි වශයෙන් උනත් ඒක වෙනසක් නැහැ. විපක්ෂයේ තමුන්නාන්සලාගේ දරුවෝ ඒ රටවල් ඒ ප්‍රදේශ මේ රටේ ජීවත් වෙන ජාතීන් පහක් සිංහල දෙමළ මුස්ලිම් බර්ගර් මැලේ කියන ජාතීන් පහ ආරක්ෂා කිරීම මුළු භූමිය ආරක්ෂා කිරීම අපේ පරමාර්ථයයි අපේ බලාපොරොත්තුවයි. ඒක කිසිම අඩුවක් නැහැ. නමුත් අපි පිළිගන්නවා සාමාන්‍ය වශයෙන් සුළු වශයෙන් මේ වගේ සිද්ධීන් ඇති වෙනවා. ලෝකයේ ඉතිහාසය දිහා තමුන්නාන්සලා බැලුවොත් මේ වගේ යුද්ධවල ඇති වුණාට පස්සේ ඇති වෙලා සෑහෙන කාලයක් ඒ රට තුල අපරාධ විනිමරුන් දේවල් ඇති වෙන එක මේ ඉතිහාසය ලෝක ඉතිහාසය බලනකොට හැම රටකම සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙනවා. අදත් සිද්ධ වෙනවා. බලන්න ඉරාකයේ දැන් යුද්ධය තිබුණ යුද්ධය සම්පූර්ණයෙන් අවසන් කළා. ලෝකයේ ඉදිරිපත් වෙලා ඉරාකයේ යුද්ධය නතර කරා. ඒගොල්ලන්ට රාජ්‍ය මලේ බාර දුන්නා. නමුත් බලන්න ඊයේත් 50 ගාණක් මරණයටපත් වුණා. ඊයේ අපි කතා කරනකොට. එතකොට මේ ඊට පස්සේ දවස් ටිකේ 100 ගාණක් දැන් මරණයටපත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒවා අපි හරි කියලා කියනවා නෙවෙයි. ඒවා උදාහරණයක් අරගෙන ඒ රටේ එහෙම වෙච්චින්දා අපේ පුංචි ටිකක් වෙන්නේ ඒක කමක් නැහැ කියලා අපි කියනවා නෙවෙයි. ඉතා සුළු වශයෙන්වත් අපේ රටෙත් ඇති වෙනවා නම් ඒ වගේ අපරාධයන් මේ සියල්ලටම අපි විරුද්ධයි. ඒ සියල්ලම නැති කරන්න ඕනේ කියන එක අපි පිළිගන්නවා. ඒ අනුව හැම සතියකම ජනාධිපතිතුමාත් අපේ හමුදාව සහ සියලු දෙනාම ඒකාබද්ධ වෙලා සාකච්ඡා පවත්වනවා. මේ සිද්ධීන් ගැන හැමදාම ඒගොල්ලෝ බලලා කොයි ආකාරයෙන්ද මේව අඩු වැඩි කරන්න කියන එක ගැන බලනවා. තමුන්නාන්සලා හුඟක් කල්පනා කරලා බැලුවොත් යුද්ධය අවසන් වෙච්ච කාල සීමාවයි අදයි බැලුවොත් ක්‍රමක්‍රමයෙන් මේව අඩු වෙලා යනවා. එතකොට එහෙම අඩු වුණාම සම්පූර්ණයෙන් මේක නැති කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා. ඒකට අපි සූදානම්ව ක්‍රියා කරනවා. රජයක් වුණා කියලා ජනාධිපතිතුමෙක් හිටියා කියලා පොලිසියක් තිබුණාට හමුදාවක් තිබුණාට ලෝකයේ තියෙන අපරාධයන් 100% අඩු කරන්න බෑ. කවදාකවත් ඒක කරන්න බෑ. ලෝකයේ කිසිම තැනක උනේත් නැහැ වෙන්නේත් නැහැ කවදාකවත්. ඒවා මිනිහාගේ අධ්‍යාත්මික දියුණුව ඇති කිරීම තුළින් පමණයි ඒ වගේ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨත්වයක් සමාජය ඇති කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. සෑම මිනිහාම අධ්‍යාත්මික වශයෙන් දියුණු ජාතියක් මිනිහෙක් බවට පත් කරන්න පුළුවන්කමකුත් නැහැ ලෝකේ. ආගම් මනුව හරි ජීවිතයක් ගත කරන පුද්ගලයන් ඔක්කොම ඉන්නවා කියලා අපිට කියන්න බෑ. කවදාකවත් ලෝකෙ හිටියෙත් නැහැ, ඉදිරියට ඉන්නෙත් නැහැ, අදත් නැහැ. එතකොට ඒ වගේ මනුෂ්‍යයන් වුණත් මනුෂ්‍යත් තිරිසන් වගේ ජීවත් වෙන අය ඉන්නවා. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ බුද්ධිය විදිහට වැඩ කරන අය වලුන් ඉන්නවා. පිස්සෝ ඉන්නවා. ඒවා ඒ චෛතසික අනුව ඒ සියලු දේවල් ඇති වෙන්නේ. ඒ ඇති වෙන චෛතසික චේතනාහම් වික්කවේ ධම්මං කම්මං වදාමි කියලා බුදුහාමුදුරුවෝ දේශනා කළා. චේතනාවයි සියලු දේවට උඩක් තුවක්කුවක් අරගෙන වෙඩි තියන්න යන්නේ තුවක්කුව නෙවෙයි ඉස්සර වෙන්නේ. පත් දෙක ඉස්සර නෙවෙයි ඉස්සර වෙන්නේ. ඔළුවයි ඉස්සර වෙන්නේ. එතකොට සියලුම මනුෂ්‍යයන් ඒ ආකාරය නෙවෙයි. මෙන්න මේ නිසා තමයි අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන 2600 සම්බුද්ධ ජයන්ති කාල පරිච්ඡේදය තුලදී බෞද්ධ හින්දු ක්‍රිස්තියානි ඉස්ලාම් කියන සියලුම ආගම් අනුව ජීවත් වෙන ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ පිරිසක් අධ්‍යාත්මික වශයෙන් දියුණු පිරිසක් අපි ගොඩනගන්න මම කල්පනා කරන්නේ ඒ විදිහට කරලාවත් සියලුම මනුෂ්‍යයන් එහෙම කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා කියලා අපි කියන්නේ. මිනිස්සු උපදිනකොට නොයෙක් විදිහ ඇස් ඇතුව උපදිනවා, කන්න නැතුව උපදිනවා, අඩුපාඩුවන් ඇතිවෙනවා, කකුල් නැතුව උපදිනවා, දෙන්න ඇලවිලා උපදිනවා. මේ වාගේ නොයෙක් විදිහට විපත්තියත් ඒ විදිහට තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ මනුෂ්‍ය ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨත්වයේ පත් කිරීම කරන්නේ ආගම් හා සංස්කෘතිය අනුවයි. සමාජය වැඩි පිරිසක් ඒ වගේ ඇති වෙන තත්ත්වයක් ඇති වෙන්න මේ වාගේ විනාශයන් ඇති වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න ඕන දේශපාලන ශාස්ත්‍රයේ අපේ ධර්මතාවයන්, දේශපාලන අංශයේ අපි කල්පනාවල්, දේශපාලන වශයෙන් තියෙන අපේ අධ්‍යාත්මික ගුණාංගයන් පමණක් නෙවෙයි ජනතාවට වමනා කරන ඒ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨත්වය දෙන්න අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න ඕන. මම බොහොම සන්තෝෂ වෙනවා කියන්නේ යාපනයේ සහ නැගෙනහිර පළාතේ ජනතාව විතාම ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ ජනතාවක් කියන එක මම කීපවතාවක් ප්‍රකාශ කරා. මම ඒ ගිය හැම අවස්ථාවකදීම ඒගොල්ලෝ මම කවදාකවත් දැක්ක නැති වුණාට හැමදාම දුටු මිත්‍රයෙක් වගේ ජීවත් වුණා. මම මේක ප්‍රකාශ කළා ඒගොල්ලෝ අතිශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ පිරිසක් ඒ ප්‍රදේශවල ජීවත් වෙන ද්‍රවිඩ ජනතාව කියන එක මම ප්‍රකාශ කළා. අදත් මම නිර්වහය ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා ඒ වගේ ජනතාවක් ඒ ජීවත් වෙනවා කියලා. අපි ගිය වෙලාවේ මේ ලංකාවට මම කිව්වා ඒ පෙරහැර ගේන්න හැතැම්ම දෙකහමාරක් විතර පෙරහැරවල් පුංචි දරුවාගේ ඉඳලා වැඩි මහල්ලා දක්වා ගිහිල්ලා එහෙම පෙන්නුවා. එතකොට මම කිව්වා මේ ලංකාවේ අනිත් තැන් වලට ගෙනල්ලා පෙන්නන්න මේ සංස්කෘතික දියුණුව, සංස්කෘතික තත්ත්වය, ඒ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ ජනතාවගේ කියන එක මම මේ ඇවිල්ලත් කිව්වා. එතන හිටමු අපේ මිත්‍රයන්ට, ද්‍රවිඩ මිත්‍රයන්ට මම ඒක කිව්වා. ඒ වගේ තත්ත්වයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ නමුත් මේ වාගේ සුළු පිරිසක් තුළ ඇතිවෙන්නා වූ තත්ත්වයන් තුළ අපි ඒ කල්පනාකාරීව ඒගොල්ලොන් අපි නීතියට ගෙනගලා නීතියෙන් ඒගොල්ලෝ මර්ධනය කිරීමේ ක්‍රියාමාර්ගයට අපි විරුද්ධ පක්ෂය වුණත් ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂය වුණත් සාමාන්‍ය ජනතාව වුණත් සියලු දෙනාම උදව් උපකාර වෙන්න ඕන. ඒකට හේතුව මනුෂ්‍යයන් අතර ඉන්න තිරිසන්නු, මනුෂ්‍යයන් අතර ඉන්න ව්‍යාඝ්‍රයන් කවදාකවත් නැති කරන්න බෑ. ඒගොල්ලෝ නැති කිරීම සඳහා සදාකාලික හිරගෙවල් තියෙනවා. සදාකාලික නොයෙක් විදිහේ දඬුවම් කරන්න තියෙනවා. මේ වාගේ තුලින් තමයි අපිට කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා යාපනයේ මම කීප වතාවක් යාපනයටත් ගියා. ඒ වගේම උතුරුනගර පළාත්වල සියලුම ජාතීන් මම මුණ ගැහුණා. සියලුම ආගමික નાයකයන් මම මුණ ගැහුණා. මම බොහොම සන්තෝෂ වුණා. හදවතින්ම සන්තෝෂ වුණා. ඒ ජනතාවගේ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨත්වය සම්බන්ධව කියන එක මම අනිත් තැන්වල රැස්වීම් වලදී මම ප්‍රකාශ කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා අපි දුක් වෙනවා, අපි කනගාටුවටපත් වෙනවා. එක පුද්ගලයෙකුටවත් ඒ වගේ හානියක් ඇති වෙනවා නම් ඒ ජාතීන් අතර කොයි ජාතිය වුණත් එහෙම ඇති වෙනවා නම් අපි කැමති වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒවා නැති භංග කරලා ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨත්වයට ගොඩනැගීම අපේ පරමාර්ථයයි, බලාපොරොත්තුවයි. ඒ වගේම අපි සිංහල, දෙමළ, මුස්ලිම්, බර්ගර්, මැලේ කියලා වෙන ජාතීන් වශයෙන් නෙවෙයි ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන් හැටියට මේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාව අපි සියලු දෙනාටම අයිතියි. මේකේ සෑම බින්ගංගලක්ම අපි සියලු දෙනාටම අයිතියි. මේ අයිතිවාසිකම අපි හරියාකාර ආරක්ෂා කරගෙන අපි බයින් සැකෙන් කරව සන්තෝෂයෙන් ඉන්න පුළුවන් ජාතියක්, ශ්‍රී ලාංකික ජාතියක් ගොඩනැගීම අපේ පරමාර්ථයයි, බලාපොරොත්තුවයි. ඒ නිසා මේ වාගේ අඩුපාඩුකම් තියෙනවා නම්, මේ වාගේ වැරදි සමාජයේ තියෙනවා නම් තමුන්නාන්සලා සම්පූර්ණ උදව් උපකාර කරන අපේ පොලිසියට, යුද හමුදාවට, අනිත් තැන්වලට එහෙම කරලා අපි සාධාරණ සමාජයක්, බයින් සැකෙන් සමාජයක්, දියුණු සමාජයක්, බුද්ධිමත් සමාජයක්, ආචාර්යමත් සමාජයක් ගොඩනැගීමට අපි උත්සාහ කරමු කියන එක ප්‍රකාශ කරමින් තමුන්නාන්සලට ඒ වගේ වේදනාවක් තියෙනවා නම් අපේ ජනතාවට කාට හරි මෙහෙම වුණා කියලා අපිත් ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් දුක් වෙනවා. සෑම තැනකම මේ වගේ තියෙන අවස්ථාවල් අපි තුරන් කරලා දාලා අපි ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ ජාතියක් දෙවිසකට ගොඩනගමු කියන එක විශේෂයෙන් ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා. ප්‍රකාශ කරමින් මේ වැඩපිළිවෙලට රජයට ආධාර උපකාර දෙන්න අනිත් ඒවාට වගේම සාධාරණ සමාජයක් ගොඩනැගීමට කියන එක විශේෂයෙන් ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා. තමුන්නාන්සලට ස්තුතියි.